Bonjour à tous, grand plaisir d'être ici parmi vous.
It's a great pleasure for me to be here with you. As you know, education, the first years, the first months have a huge influence on you. And I was lucky because I was positively exposed, because you do not necessarily choose your parents. And I was exposed to finance at a very early age. I spent most of my holidays with my uncles and aunts. Most of them were farmers or craftsmen, and I loved to go with my grandparents to the cheese factory with the milk bottle to pour the milk into a large container, and we wrote down how much milk we put, and at the end of the month we calculated the liters. And then this cooperative gave a credit to my grandparents during the month, and they financed the combi and so on. So it was a kind of microcredit. This co-op funded small farmers in the Oudou region. This is exactly the business we do, and this organization was positive. I had a positive image because my grandfather said, thanks to the cooperative, I could buy the fertilizers, and thanks to this cooperative, I could have this combine. And 10 years later, my uncles took over from my grandparents, and the situation was a bit different. And I was exposed to the negative aspects of a strong financial exposure, the over-indebtedness among farmers in the 80s and 90s in France, with the dairy quotas in place. I was exposed to that as a child as well. So I saw that there was a positive aspect of finance. It was possible to set up a business, feeding your family, and it might have negative aspects. Later on, as an auditor, I was sent to Madagascar to a bank defaulting, and I had to visit this defaulting bank, and the customers were public companies, public institutions, and each time I went to Madagascar, I spent several months, asked the taxi drivers, the farmers, who is financing your business, and not a single person said they were financed by the bank, the largest bank in the country, or the top 5 banks. All of them were financed by organizations I didn't know, credit cooperatives of different names, and they were microfinance institutions. So I understood that most households in the emerging countries and in our developed countries only have a very partial access to finance. And now 90% of households in the world only have a partial access, or not a single access to financial services. Well, of course, in Europe it's 10 or 15%, whereas in Madagascar 3/4 of the population is excluded from the financial services. Is it that important to have a financial service? To me, the answer is yes. Of course, as I was a child, my grandfather, and so on and so forth. So it is always absolutely essential, 18 years later, to have access to a bank, to an insurance, and to a payment service. Let's imagine your life. You have no saving account. You have not the ability to get a loan. You cannot issue money. You cannot put money aside for your children. You are not insured. When your crop is destroyed, you cannot reimburse your loan. If you were lucky enough to be partially integrated because your house and so it is absolutely essential to have access to financial services, even if you're a small farmer or a small shopkeeper in emerging countries. It's a huge obstacle to development, and it is a risk exposure. And there is a correlation, a clear correlation between the level of wealth and the banking penetration. You see here at the bottom the net banking income per the GDP per inhabitant, and then the banking penetration. That is to say, the ratio between the credits and the economy. And our objective is to allow countries on your left, India, Indonesia, Russia, Mexico, Brazil, Turkey, through a wider access to financial services, be it for SMEs, for the population, through a greater access to financial services. The goal is to raise the level of development. This is what we call by microfinance. Micro means very small. It might have a negative connotation, or micromanagement. It doesn't sound nice. However, you do understand that if we support the development of the financial system of countries such as India, Indonesia, Russia, Mexico, Brazil, and Turkey, the countries mentioned here, that's a huge challenge requiring a lot of resources. The number of people involved by this phenomenon, it's about 600 million people, and those people need a financial service which is completely integrated. Like you, like me, we have access to a complete range of services. This is a bank in Kosovo, a microfinance bank. And this bank has started the first bank in the largest bank in Kosovo, and that's the first bank lending money to small and medium-sized companies in Kosovo. So a microfinance institution is not just a small organization where women come back to repay their microcredits. It exists, of course, but it is also a top financial institutions in emerging markets, because those emerging markets and countries need a massive financial organization, lending money, opening up savings accounts, and offering insurance products to population not covered. This is the smallest institution, a smaller institution in Azerbaijan, granting credits, not collecting deposits. This organization funds over 15,000 people in Azerbaijan. Who are they? You're going to see a photograph behind me. A lot of people in different countries. Microfinance is not just marginal in the financial service. They are part and parcel of the financial service. The microfinance is a part of finance. They finance small and medium-sized companies in emerging countries, and the average the basis of pyramids in the emerging countries can have access to different financial services, credit, savings, and insurance. And a lot of financial institutions like saving banks, they do microfinance. They do that with the social microcredit, yes, but they do it as well because they massively lend money to shopkeepers, to farmers, and so on. And you see here a bank in Bolivia, Microsol. They started as a small microfinance institution. Here you see women. A lot of people put their savings here in those institutions. As I said, the microfinance market accounts for about 90% of the worldwide population, having a partial access, about 700 million households. If you look at the balance sheet, it's about $60 billion. We saw the total balance sheet of European banks is 46,000 billion, so we are far away from that threshold. But you see the potential for growth. We have Europe, 700 million inhabitants. Here you have 4 times more, having access to banks 1,000 smaller than the one in Europe, and the potential for growth is 4 times bigger for a time horizon over 10 years. To total balance sheet 60 billion to over 400 billion. That's the potential for growth. 400 billion is just because we would finance the real economy in those countries, the SMEs. We are not going to develop structured and complex fundings like those which have been described to you in Europe. Why am I saying that to you? To show you the need to move from 60 billion to 400 billion shows that we need to find massive resources. We need to raise money in those countries and in Europe as well, so that we can finance this growth of microfinance. Microfinance is not all rosy, of course. You've got gray areas where there are problems, and they reflect finance. Like in all financial activities, you have a bit of greediness. Those are only attracted by profit, short-termism. They want to grow too quickly, a lack of control of the access to financial system. In microfinance, it means over-indebtedness. Those words have those ills have existed, and they were highlighted often by those who are against microfinance, as if we had criticized the highways, the creation of highways in the 50s. Every day there are dead on the motorways. We should stop building the motorways. It's a comparison. So there were difficulties, and we have found a part of the difficulties in microfinance. The same problem as in the conventional finance, but we are improving. So we use savings as well. We want to collect the money so that we can grant money to the microfinance institutions active in the emerging countries. Those microfinance institutions have 60 billion. Tomorrow it will be 400 billion. So we need to raise money if we are well anchored into the financial system, and that's what we did with the support of first-class financial institutions like Credit Suisse, Raiffeisen, Credit Suisse from the German-speaking Switzerland, and CCR as well, or Natixis Asset Management in France, because they entrust us with a part of the microfinance management to help us raise this money. Let me give you a few figures on our activity, on our business. The needs are enormous, but we already have a good track record. 1.7 billion, that's the total assets under management in our company. We manage $1.7 billion assets invested in microfinance and in fair trade, health, education in emerging countries. 285 microfinance institutions. It's a worldwide phenomenon. You have microfinance everywhere in all countries. So we are present in over 250 institutions, or 285 million. 35 million, that's the number of entrepreneurs directly financed by us, 1.7 billion. Thanks to this money, we lend to 285 entrepreneurs and farmers in emerging countries. 8.5 billion, that's the size of the largest microfinance bank we finance. Here we are far away from the figures on Europe, but far away from the representation you usually have for microfinance. You think that it's a small organization. Here it's a Turkish microfinance institution having the banking status. in Turkey, financing only farmers and small shopkeepers. And you see the balance sheet. And we lent $30 million to this institution. We're not going to come with 50,000 euros. The credit is not big enough. They need massive money. They are going to collect this money usually with the savings of Turkish people, but they need the support of such an institution like ours to lend in the longer term. 165,000 employees work in the microfinance institution we finance, and 370 million, what are they? They are taxes paid locally by the microfinance institutions we finance. We make sure that there is no tax evasion among our partners. To pay taxes in an emerging country, it is absolutely essential, because this way they will use taxes to build infrastructure, education system, and therefore we do contribute strengthening the local budget thanks to taxes. We've been there for 10 years, and we offer investors investing in our funds a net yield on a yearly basis of 4%. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. We have not talked about the yield of financial activities in the last presentations, but you can compare those 4% with the yield of your saving book, for instance. Why do I say that? Microfinance, even if to invest in microfinance is something stable, profitable, and useful, you see the yield in the last 10 years, usually 4%, we cannot engage a lot of or use most of the popular savings. In Switzerland, we were lucky because we could promote our funds in the general public. When you go to most Swiss banks, our fund is represented. The account manager can offer our product to the customers. But in France, because of the French regulator, they think that our products are too dangerous. We should not offer them to the public at large. They say you're crazy. They can only invest in listed products, in something volatile. But our products, offering a different type of risk, emerging country, microfinance, fair trade, health, education, are perceived by the regulator as too risky to be offered to the population. And whenever surveys were done, there is a strong demand, but you cannot invest in our products. We have not the right to offer them to you, and therefore no one in France invests, or almost no one invests in microfinance. There are some solidarity funds, 90-10, but the aggregation of those solidarity funds managed by Natixis, here it is proposed to the population. The sum of solidarity funds in France is 20 million altogether, compared to 1.7 billion, so you see that we really have a problem. The European regulators do not really understand that it is important to invest in health, in education, in fair trade, or in the financial system of the southern countries is an investment product with a different risk, but with a real profitability, financial profitability, social profitability for investors. That's it. So our problem in France is with the regulators. How can we make sure that we can finance our products more, especially microfinance, in the countries of the South? I hope that this appeal will be, or this plea, sorry, will be heard. Positive finance exists today, but not here in France. Thank you.